What the hell is up, everybody? Louis back here again for another fun weekend of fights. We had a week off. It feels like it's been forever. Quick recap last weekend. Record so-so, but I finally profited. I placed the correct bets. I had Sandhagen in the main event. Hit some underdogs, but who cares? That's ancient history. This week we got Mackenzie Dern taking on Yan Fury XIAONAN in the 115-pound weight class, women's straw weight. Not necessarily for a title shot, but like one more for a title shot after this fight. And it's a fun matchup. Not the most exciting, admittedly, for a main event. Card's not that great, but it's fun. And then you got Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Francisco Trinaldo, which should be a banger at 170. Big matchup for Randy Brown if he wants to get into the top 15. You also got Sadiq Youssef taking on last minute replacement, so that should be interesting. But in the prelim main event, you got Ilir Latifi taking on Alexei the Book and Stricter OLEINIK for a very fun slop fest. And I'm very pumped. Also, you got Randy Costa opening up the card. So, you know, should be fun. Let's get right into it here. We got 12 fights, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. First fight of the night, Guido CANNETTI taking on Randy Costa. Randy Costa really needs a win in this one. CANNETTI took on Chris Matinho his last fight. First round, he just backs up, but he lands some leg kicks and some lunge jabs whenever he gets pressed. But then he gets pressed, eats some hooks against the fence. But then he lands a step in overhand over top of Chris's jab. He rocks him with some hooks in the clinch and just gets a standing TKO. So, you know, Chris Matinho just took one too many punches, unfortunately. But before that, he took on Manny Martinez. He's going to go over the first couple rounds. First round, he lands some body kicks and some leg kicks. Whenever he gets pressed and he eats some body shots on the fence, but he's able to defend the body lock takedown attempt with the whizzer. And then he's able to get on top, kind of step over there and ride out the round. And then in the second round, he rushes with some leftover hands, but he misses a lot of them, getting a little wild there. But then he gets pressured to the fence and eats a 1-2 at range. So, you know, not the most technical guy, but he can get in there and scrap. And then Randy Costa took on Tony Kelly his last fight. In the first round, he skirts along the fence, gets pressured with some hooks on the inside in the pocket, and then he's able to get the clinch on the fence. But then he gets his head controlled. Kelly was good with getting that plum. And then he pressures backwards with some leg kicks and some straight shots, starts landing a little bit. And then the second round, he pressures forward, gets the collar tie, but then he gets the clinch reversed on the fence, and then he has his head controlled again by Tony. But then he breaks free, pumps some jabs, but he misses a lot of them, if not all of them, but he gets the clinch on the fence. Can't really do much with it, so it's kind of going there as last resort. But then he lands a jab, a head kick, and then an uppercut inside the clinch. But then he eats some knees in the plum, and then he gets pushed over, just a little hurt, a little tired, and then just gets TKO'd with elbows by Tony Kelly. It was pretty brutal, pretty vicious. Randy Costa's a tough guy, but he just falls off a cliff. So, Randy Costa minus 285, Guido CANNETTI plus 240. I'm not going to think too much about this. I think Randy Costa at nearly minus 300 is a little ridiculous based on what we've seen. Had a great first round against Yanez, fell off a cliff in the second round, and in the last Tony Kelly fight, he didn't even really have a great first round. So he just gets pressured, and if Guido can get in there and get in his face and make it dirty, which he can do, that's like his strength, I think he can get it done. We'll see. Maybe Randy has fixed all these problems. He's young, but for that price tag, I'm going to go with Guido CANNETTI here. Take the dog money. It's a lot of profit. Second fight of the night at a catch weight of 140 pounds. You got Julia Stoliarenko taking on Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler, she's a UFC newcomer. Stoliarenko took on Jessica Rose Clark her last fight. First round, she gets dropped with a left hook off of her kick attempt, but then she's able to get back up, land some hooks on the inside, gets the double, and then she's able to get the armbar from the top position. But that's Jessica's weakness, so can't really take too much out of there. But before that, she took on Alexis Davis. In the first round, she just pushed down off of her front kick, and then she throws up a couple arm bars, kind of close, not really, but then she eats some ground and pound in full guard whenever she can't get the arm bar, just kind of keeps going for it. Then in the second round, she circles on the outside, lands some step-in jabs, but then she eats some leg kicks coming in. She's able to throw a hook, and she dips under, and she's able to circle out of range. Then she lands a 1-2-3 combination, which she gets pressed on the inside, keeps circling, lands some jabs, and a head kick whenever she gets pressed. Then in the third round, she gets dropped with a leg kick, eats some ground and pound in full guard. So kind of a mixed bag for her. She has trouble like putting together a whole fight, in my opinion. Chelsea Chandler took on Courtney King outside the organization. First round, she closes the distance with the clinch to the outside trip. She's able to take the back, and then she transitions into half guard. goes for the arm triangle, can't secure it, and she lets her up. She escapes, and then she lands some overhands in the pocket to the clinch, and she's able to get the pancake takedown, tries to get the crucifix, can't really get it, lets her up. Then in the second round, she rushes with some overhands, but then she gets dropped with a check hook, and then she eats a flurry, but then she's able to get the clinch, so she's able to recover nicely after taking some damage. And then she walks through some kicks and some hooks at range, but she's able to get the clinch, so she's okay eating some shots. Don't know if that's the best strategy. Then in the third round, she gets pressured and clinched, but she's able to get the inside trip takedown, passes the half guard, looks for the arm triangle, can't secure it, still going for a submission, so I like that. And Chelsea Chandler is minus 105. Julia Stolarenko minus 115. This line will flip-flop. I would kind of predict Chelsea might be like plus 100, even money. And it's low-level women's MMA. I'm going to go with the slight underdog. Don't know why. We'll see what happens whenever Julia can't get those arm bars early on. Who knows, dude? Chandler looks okay on the ground. Maybe she can clinch her up and not get arm barred. Julia Stolarenko probably get an arm bar. But I don't know. So, I don't know. I just feel like Chelsea Chandler has a chance. She's this newcomer. These newcomers have heat sometimes. They got to win. So, we'll go with Chelsea Chandler. If not, bet Julia Stolarenko by submission and go against me. But I like Chelsea. We'll see what happens. Third fight of the night, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Maxime Grishin taking on Felipe Lins. This should be interesting. Grishin took on William Knight his last fight, whenever William Knight missed weight by like 10 pounds. But in the first round, he rocks him with the head kick at range, but then he pressures him to the cage, just lands some leg kicks, just taking his time, softening him up. Then in the second round, he lands a 1-2 at range. He's able to stuff the double attempt, but then he gets fireman's carried, but he's able to stand right back up. He's able to turn in and then get the top position right out the round. Then in the third round, he gets pressed on the cage with a leg kick and a 1-2, but he's able to stuff the takedown on the fence, and then he just battles in the clinch position, but then he gets taken down with the single off of his body when his body kick gets caught. But then he's able to keep the underhook, and he's able to get up whenever William tries to pass over to full mount. So I like seeing that. He's always looking for ways to get back to his feet. And then at the end of the fight, drops him with the right cross. And good solid win for him. William Knight missed weight by a shitload. William Knight is a monster to begin with, so good performance from Maxon. And then Felipe Lins took on Marcin Prachnau his last fight. In the first round, he's able to get the blast double off the fence, gets the back, but he's not able to hold him down there very long. But still, I like seeing him go for the takedown early on. But then he walks into some kicks, and then he lunges with the left body hook to the clinch. So he's trying to get it to the mat as much as he can in that first round. And then the second round, he throws some wild straights in the pocket, but then he lands another straight at range after he breaks free from the clinch, and then but then they both clinch each other back and forth, and he's able to defend the double on the fence. But then he lands a 1-2 off of his leg kick, and then he lands a knee. So I was looking for those openings. Then in the third round, he gets a clinch to a trip takedown whenever he gets pressed. Marcin gets up, but Felipe is able to keep the clinch, and he's able to get the double leg attempt. So I like seeing that sticking with the guy and not just taking him down, letting him up for no reason. And then they're in some pocket exchanges, and he gets the clinch, and he shoots a double, can't really get it, but still having that pressure toward the end of the fight. Felipe Lins plus 155, Maxime Grishin minus 180. I'm going to go with Maxime Grishin. I think Felipe Lins might blow his wad a little early here. Maxime Grishin might lose the first round, but I think he'll be able to stay at range, pop his jabs, some leg kicks, decent takedown defense, and decent get-up game. Should be fun, though, but I think Felipe just might burn himself out. I might be wrong, though. Who knows? It's lower level, light heavyweight. I'm going to go with Maxime Grishin. All right, the feature fight of the prelims, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Should be a fun one. Pivotal fight for each guy. Krzysztof Jotko taking on Brendan Allen. Both guys trying to break through, trying to get ranked here. And both guys coming off of... Brendan Allen's win was close, but still impressive. Jacob Malkoon's a tough dude. And Krzysztof Jotko coming off of the Meerschaert win, and Meerschaert has won since then, so, should be exciting. Krzysztof Jotko took on Joe Meerschaert his last fight. In the first round, he lands a step back, check right. Whenever Meerschaert comes on the inside, then he lands a face kick, and he's able to slip Meerschaert's punch, and then he's able to get around his back. Can't really do too much with it, though, but just kind of trying to wear on him early. But then he reverses the clinch on the fence, and then the second round, he stuffs a body lock, and he breaks out of the clinch with Meerschaert, and then he backs up and looks for some straight shots whenever he gets pressed by Meerschaert. But then he's able to keep the whizzer and defend the body lock, and he's able to get around his back and then drag Meerschaert down for the rest of the round. Good stuff. And then in the third round, he's able to duck Meerschaert's hook, and then he gets the blast double, really nice. And then he defends the double leg on the fence of Meerschaert. Meerschaert's turning it on toward the end of the round. Then he lands a blast double from space, and he defends all of Meerschaert's rolls. And then Meerschaert hits like a duck under on his knees, try to reverse, and JOTKO's able to feed his hips in and maintain top position. So pretty impressive, and Meerschaert's always dangerous with those submissions. And then Allen took on Jacob Malkoun his last fight. In the first round, he's a jab at range, but he returns with an uppercut, then an overhand combo. Then he keeps the whizzer whenever Malkoun goes for the takedown, and he pops up off of a single. But then he gets drugged down and gets his back taken. But then he's able to whizzer kick him and get on top. Really nice reversal there from him. But then he gets swept with a deep half and an underhook by Malkoun, and then he pulls. But he pulls the guillotine, can't really get it, but, you know, he went for it. And then the second round, he eats some jabs at range, but then he gets taken down with the snatch single off the fence, but then he swims out of the back whenever his back is getting taken, then he's able to get on top from there, right out the rest of the round. Doesn't do too much. I think Malkoun still won the round, but yeah, it was close. Then in the third round, he lands an uppercut and then a cross to a double, but he's too high whenever he's trying to mount. And then Jake is able to swim out the back. But then he gets taken down with the snatch single again, but he gives up his back standing, and then he gets mat returned. But then he's able to swim out and then get into half guard, then full guard. Does some ground and pound, not enough though. But, you know, it was a split decision, I believe. Close fight. Malkoun's tough, so, you know, good win for Allen. Allen plus 105, Krzysztof JOTKO minus 125. Been going back and forth. Pretty high on Brendan Allen. I just think his IQ is too low. And he doesn't play to his strength. He likes to strike with guys. And then against Malkoun, he's trying to wrestle with them. And I might be wrong about that. But, you know, it just seems like against JOTKO, he's going to need to go for the takedowns. I don't know if he will. I bet you he's going to try to strike with him. And JOTKO, I think he picks him apart. And then I think JOTKO might be able to get a blast double or something like that. Kind of out of nowhere whenever Allen gets a little too comfortable. I think JOTKO will be able to keep range, land some kicks. It's gonna be a good one if Brendan Allen can get a hold of him though. It should be interesting, but the line's pretty close. I'm gonna go with Krzysztof JOTKO here. I just think he has a little more experience, and I think he's really finding his groove. The co-main event of the prelims, 155 pounds. Joaquim Silva taking on Jesse Ronson. Joaquim Silva coming off of a year-and-a-half-long layoff, and before that, his last fight was in 2019, so you tell me. He took on Rick Glenn, his last fight, 2021. He walks in with a hook, gets dropped, and TKO'd with ground and pound, so not a good sign. Then he took on Nasrat Haqparast in 2019. First round, he feints some jabs, lands some front kicks, but he eats some hooks off of his own front kick. But then the second round, he gets countered with a straight off of a head kick, and then he lands a left, and then he lands a left hook, but it gets blocked, and then he circles into an overhand left by Nasrat and gets knocked the fuck out by Nasrat, who doesn't knock anybody out. So I don't know. Sucks. I don't really know what to make of that data. I didn't want to go back any farther because, you know. And then Jesse Ronson took on Rafa Garcia his last fight. In the first round, he walks into some overhands when he's looking for his jabs, but then he lands a step in straight, but he gets doubled, but he gets right back up. Good sign right off the bat. But then he gets blast doubled off of his overhand feint, but he's able to get back up again. Spends a little time down there, but then he walks in across on the inside in the pocket. Then in the second round, he gets taken down with a jab feint to a high crotch, and then he gets doubled after he throws a leg kick into half guard, gives up his back. And when he's getting up, he gets submitted with some ground and pound, and then rear naked choke. So neither guy had good performances, and you got to go with the underdog. That's it. Joaquim Silva, I guess, I don't know if he has power. I really don't. I didn't see much from either guy. I'm just going to go Jesse Ronson plus 125. Joaquim Silva minus 145. Seems a little high. I don't like the layoff. He just got knocked out twice. And, you know, Jesse Ronson, at least he's in there scrapping. Rafa Garcia's tough vet. So, I'm going to go Jesse Ronson here. Don't think too much about it. Just bet the dog, you know? Okay. And the main event of the prelims at 265 pounds men's heavyweight, you got Ilir Latifi taking on Alexei the Boa Constrictor OLEINIK. This might be my most anticipated matchup. It should be fun. Both guys at the end of their career, both guys need a win. And it should be a fun slobfest, man. Should be really fun. Ilir Latifi took on Tanner Boser his last fight in 2021, so he's coming off a long layoff. And in the first round of that fight, he backs out of the overhand range, and he catches the kick. He's able to get a takedown on Boser. Boser's #1 weakness. Then in the second round, he lands a counter overhand right whenever he gets pressed on the inside. But then he backs up for some feints, and he eats a right hook to the body. And then he eats a right hook in the eye, and then he gets dropped. He thinks it's an eye poke, but it's not. And then Boser gets behind him and just blasts him, but he's able to work his way back up to his feet somehow. So, a very tough guy. But then he gets walked down by Boser, and then he shoots a high crotch to the clinch. Can't secure it, but at least he has an answer for when he's getting pressed. But then in the third round, he's able to get the high crotch to a crackdown from space and just ride him out. So, there's that. And Boser just kind of accepted a takedown. So, and then Alexei Oleinik took on Jared Vanderaa his last fight. In the first round, he chases and he lands some windmills, like wild-ass windmills. And then he eats a straight right off of his front kick. But then he pulls guard, wraps around his head, pulls guard, and he rolls through with the leg. And then he gets his back taken, but Jared Vanderaa has terrible IQ, because why would you be on the ground with Oleinik at all? But then he's able to grab his leg and turn into him. And then he takes his back, works into full mount, gets the scarf hold, gets the submission. Beautiful. Alexei Oleinik plus 155, Ilir Latifi minus 180. Low level heavyweights, go with the underdog. I'm going to go with Alexei Oleinik. Now, is he going to submit Ilir Latifi? I don't know. Ilir Latifi doesn't have a neck. That's what I've been hearing, so that makes sense. So maybe not, but if Alexei can just land some of them big windmills standing, maybe take him down, or just, maybe stuff one of Ilir's shots, because Ilir has a lot of mass on him, and he gets tired as the fight goes on. He might be able to spin around his back toward the end of the fight. But I'm going to go with the underdog. But the fight to go over 1.5 minus 130, I like that one. I really don't see a finish here unless Ilir knocks out Alexei, but Alexei's pretty tough. I'm going to go with Alexei Oleinik, the boa constrictor. First fight on the main card, 155 pounds. You got Mike Davis taking on Vyashlev Borschev. Should be a banger. Davis coming off of a 2-year-long layoff. His last fight was against Mason Jones, 2020. First round, he lands a step-in hook and then a head kick at range. And then he lands an overhand right off of a jab. Follows with some uppercuts and an overhand. And then he shoots, but his takedown attempt gets stuffed, and he eats some hooks and an uppercut to the body. But he's able to catch the kick, finally finish that double leg. But then he eats across an uppercut back up in the clinch, but then he's able to get the double leg from that position, and then he lands a jump knee at the end of the round. Very explosive guy. Second round, he drops him with a leg kick right off the bat, and then he gets caught with the combo on the fence, but he's able to land a hard overhand right. And then he goes back and forth, just kind of moves back and forth on his feet. He's able to slip his head off the center line, and then he's able to throw back some straight shots or some overhands. Then he lands a left body uppercut, and then a right overhand 2 times, hits that combination 2 times in a row. Really nice stuff. Then in the third round, he slips out of the jab range, circles out, and just tries to keep his distance, and then he's able to stuff the double leg, land a 1-2. His output kind of falls off, but, his cardio looked okay, just didn't take as many chances in the third round, it seemed. And then Vyashlev Borschev took on Mark Diakasey his last fight. In the first round, he stuffs the double on the fence. They get into a clinch battle. And then he eats a hook flurry. Then he's able to stuff the double leg with a chest wrap. But then he gets clinched and taken out the double, and he gives up his back after that. Then in the second round, he gets doubled and then drugged down around the back when he gets up. And, it's just all downhill from here, unfortunately. And then in the third round, he gets blast doubled, can't get up, But before that, he took on Dakota Bush. So we got some more data and then just getting taken down. In the first round, he lands some uppercuts in the pocket. But then he gets doubled after that, just kind of not protecting his hips. And then he eats the uppercut, but he counters with the right hook. But then he gets doubled and he gives up his back, but he's able to slide him off. And then he back up on the feet. He lands a left hook to the body. He gets a KO whenever he's pressing. So, guy can scrap. Guy has decent takedown defense. Mark Diakasey, D1 Diakasey, I don't know where that came from. So I actually saw that fight live, and I was freaking out because I didn't know Diakasey wrestled. But, Mike Davis, that's not his only game plan is to wrestle, so it should be a fun scrap. Borschev plus 150, Mike Davis minus 175. I don't like the layoff, but Mike Davis is young. I believe he's like 29, so typically whenever there's a long layoff, but they're younger, like under 30, they take a lot of time, they improve their skills, they get better in their next fight. So I like Mike Davis. I think his hand speed's ridiculous. I don't really know what Borschev has to offer him. He has power, but I don't think Davis is going to walk into anything huge. I think he's going to be able to go in and out on him, land some straight shots, pop some jabs, maybe some kicks, and I think he'll be able to get takedowns eventually. So I just really like Mike Davis here. I think it's a decent price. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but my pick here is Mike Davis. So I like. Okay, and then we got a special catchweight at 140 for some reason, but it's these guys are like really bantamweights. You got John Sexy Mexi Castaneda, great name, taking on Daniel Willie Cat Santos. The nickname fight should be a good one. John Castaneda took on Miles Johns his last fight. The first round, he walks into a jab, but he pressures towards the cage. I guess he's okay with eating some shots. Then in the second round, he lands a left head kick inside the pocket, but then he's able to cut off the cage, land a jab and a right hook, which rocks him, and then he just kind of pushes him down and gets on top. Doesn't really do a whole lot from there, though. And then in the the third round, he dips his jab, lands a right hook that rocks him really bad. Then he lands a hook flurry, and then he drops him with a knee to the head, and then gets the arm triangle, and then the submission. So just perfect sequence, and he picked a spot. He didn't spend the whole fight struggling for a submission he wasn't going to get. You saw that he had him rocked. Perfect opportunity for a submission. Just beautiful work, to be honest with you. And then Daniel Willie Cat Santos took on Julio Arce his last fight. In the first round, he lands an elbow in the clinch, and then he just backs out. But then he pressures him toward the cage, but then eats some shots and kicks as he's coming in. But then he eats a head kick off of his leg kick. Then the second round, he's able to cut off the fence, throw some hooks, and he lands a left cross. But then he chases him with some hooks, and he eats a head kick, and he's just getting a little reckless at that point. Then eats some body shots, just kind of standing in the pocket, not really defending. Then in the third round, he presses forward, and he walks into some jabs again, so this guy's okay with getting hit. But then he misses the hook, and then Arce circles out, and then he eats a jab from him. So, you know, just getting a little wild toward the end there. Thought he had a pretty good first round. Daniel Santos plus 160, John Castaneda minus 190. I like John Castaneda here. The price is under minus 200. Good sign. I just think he's the better fighter. I think as the fight goes on, he's going to do a lot better. I think Daniel walks into too many shots. I think John Castaneda hits harder. And, you know, I could see playing out similar to the Miles Johns fight. I mean, Miles Johns probably gasses harder than Daniel does, but I see it playing out similarly. John Castaneda has had more time since that fight to build upon these skills, and I just like it at bantamweight. And you know, he took out Eddie Wineland, knocked him out cold, which is what you're supposed to do. So he's on the right track. Didn't struggle with Eddie Wineland. I think he's another up-and-comer at bantamweight. My pick here is John Sexy Mexi Castaneda. Gotta love it. Okay. And then at 145, you got Sadiq Youssef taking on UFC newcomer Don Shameless SHAINIS. Yes, that's a name. Sadiq Youssef took on Alex Caceres his last fight. In the first round, he gets body locked off of an overhand, but then he gets right back up. Like seeing that. Then he walks in the left cross whenever he's coming forward throwing his hooks. Then he's able to get around his back standing, and he's able to duck his punches. Then he gets a body lock, take him down to his back. So he didn't really do too much with it, but he established a grappling advantage. Then in the second round, he lands overhand right up against the cage. Then he lands some leg kicks at range, kind of just stalking him. Then in the third round, skirts along the cage, and then he just lands some leg kicks whenever he gets pressed, and then he lands a right cross on the inside whenever he gets pressed. So not a ton of activity, but Alex Caceres is very tricky. You do not want to get on the ground with that guy. And Alex Caceres is a top veteran, and Sadiq Youssef had a convincing win over him. So I like seeing that. Then Don Shameless SHAINIS took on Bruce Picard, his last fight outside the UFC. In the first round, he eats some hooks off of his leg kicks, but then he shoots to the fence, takedown attempt gets stuffed, and then he gets rocked with the left hook, first troubles. But then he's able to rock him with the check right hook, and he drops him with the left hook, and then he gets into full mount, ground and pound TKO. So, you know, he would definitely take punishment to give punishment. But before that, he took on Cody Pfister in the first round. He lands some leg kicks and an overhand right. Then he lands a leg kick and then a left hook to a double. And then he gets into half guard, transitions to full mount nicely. I like seeing that out of him, out of these two fights. And then he's able to take his back. But then he gets reversed with the single leg. But then he hits an elevator sweep, and he gets able to get back mount, grabs the cross wrist, takes his time a little bit, and then gets the ground and pound TKO. So, you know. But unfortunately, against low-level guys, but, you know, got some skills. I just don't know if he's ready for Sadiq Youssef. Don SHAINIS plus 750, Sadiq Youssef minus 1150. That price is ridiculous, but, You know, I just really don't see SHAINIS catching Sodiq Yusuff, and he got dropped by guys with skill level way below Alex Caceres or Sodiq Yusuff. So, but, you know, it's MMA. Knowing me, how my life goes, he'll win, and I'll lose a lot of money. But I just don't think that. I think Sodiq Yusuff is on the rise. He beat Alex Caceres, a legitimate guy, passed a pretty big test. So I like Sodiq Yusuff. You could go KO, which is, the odds are like, okay, it's still not plus money. But you want to submission, plus 1,200, you know, you might as well throw some money on that. But the real bet here, the whole fight, under 1.5, plus 120. I think SHAINIS is going to put it all out there in the first round. He might hurt Sodiq a little bit, but he's going to be gassed out. And he took it on short notice, and his skill level's not there. So I'm going to go Sodiq Yusuff. I like the fight to go under. Let's pray Sodiq wins. The feature fight of the main card at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. You got Ronnie Barcelos taking on Trevin 5-Star Jones. Should be a fun one. Both guys need a win here. So, and, you know, both guys can scrap. Both guys have power, so let's get it. Barcelos took on Victor Henry his last fight. Victor Henry making his UFC debut. Barcelos was a huge favorite. In the first round, he lands an uppercut and some straights inside the pocket. Then he sidesteps, lands an uppercut. It was pretty beautiful. But then he eats a left hook when he's standing in the pocket with Victor. Then he eats a straight right at range, but he's able to catch the kick, and he's able to get the single leg, get on it, but he can't hold it, can't finish it. And then eats some uppercuts in the collar tie position. Then in the second round, he lands a right cross in a pocket exchange, and then an uppercut from the collar tie. Then he eats an overhand in the clinch, but he's able to get the double real quick, has him down, but can't hold him. And then in the third round, he gets some space, lands some straights from range. Then he eats some hooks and uppercuts inside, and he gives up his back standing, but doesn't really get taken down. Then he lands a right head kick and then an uppercut and a hook flurry inside the pocket, but it's just a little too little too late. And, you know, just kind of got outworked there. And I think he was counting on Victor going to get hurt, or he was going to go out of there early. Maybe his conditioning wasn't up to par, but Victor Henry came to scrap. So it was a great fight, though. And then Trevin Jones took on Javid Basharat his last fight. We know how good he is after beating Tony Kelly. In the first round, he feints a right and then an overhand, and then he lands a left, and then he eats a knee to the stomach when he's in on the single, and then another one to the face, and then he just eats some elbows from the clinch. And then in the second round, he gets pressured backwards, and he pumps the leg kicks, and he looks for some jabs, but not really having too much success. Javid mastering the distance. Then in the third round, he gets pressured toward the fence. He eats some straights and an uppercut to the body, but then he lands a left cross standing at range. Then he walks into a spin kick, but then he lands some left hooks whenever he gets pressed, and then he lands another uppercut on Javid. But, you know, definitely had some scrap in him, but Javid was just able to keep that distance. Trevin Jones plus 195, Ronnie Barcelos minus 230. Tough one here, but I was kind of high on Barcelos, but getting a little older, and skill level just didn't reach its fullest potentials, and I think minus 230 is too high. Trevin Jones was kind of hit or miss, but you know, he had a decent fight with Javid, and he's got power he can crack. And I think Barcelos fell off in the third round against Henry. I think he's going to fall off as the fight goes on. Trevin Jones not a cardio master, but I think he'll be able to land some bigger shots toward the end of the round. End of the fight, like in the third round, and plus 200 on Trevin Jones. At bantamweight, you just got to take it. Bantamweight's a little nutty, you know. Crazy shit happens with those little guys. I'm going to go with Trevin Jones here. Should be a good fight. If Barcelos beats him, gets on the inside, rips him to the body, I wouldn't be surprised. But for the price, I'm going to go with Trevin Jones. We'll see what happens. Should be a fun scrap, though. I'm excited for it. The co-main event of the night at 170 pounds men's waterweight. You got Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Francisco Massaranduba Trinaldo. And this is a big one here. Francisco kind of trying to prove his relevancy, trying to play that gatekeeper role, and Randy really wants to get into the top 15. And it's not do or die for either guy, but it kind of is, you know. Randy really wants to get this win here, but, you know, if Francisco loses, no big deal. He can, you know, he'll be on the back half of his career. Well, he already is, but he'll probably have a couple more fun fights and retire. But it's a big opportunity for Randy. So Randy took on Chaos Williams his last fight. In the first round, he skirts the cage, he slips out of the way of shots, and he lands a front face kick on Chaos when he's coming in, but then he gets rocked with some wild hooks by Chaos when he's standing in the pocket with his hands down. A little bit slip of the IQ, but then he gets clinched to the fence, tries the guillotine, can't really get it, but you know, decent defense. Then in the second round, he lands a step in, double jab, and he pumps his jabs, he slips the hooks, but then he gets clinched. And then in the third round, he lands a front face kick from range. He lands a lunge, double jab again, and then a right hook, but then he dips into a short right hook from Chaos, and he gets dropped, but Chaos can't really do anything on the ground. He's able to get back up, land some jabs and some right hooks, and he rocks him. And just pressures him for the rest of the fight. And it was a split decision, so, you know, even Chaos dropped him. I guess they gave the third round to Randy, so I can see that. You know, he handled it well. He didn't look super hurt, just kind of like fell down, so. And then Francisco took on Danny Roberts his last fight. In the first round, he misses the right cross, but he goes to the clinch. And then he lands some uppercuts, but then he walks into some straight shots, but he backs out. And then whenever he's coming forward, and then he just kind of slowly stalks him, looking for shots, and then he slips the cross, and then lands a left hook. Then in the second round, he rocks him with the jab in a pocket exchange. And then he clinches, able to land some more uppercuts, and then he rips the body. And then he goes for the standing guillotine, gets him down on the ground, lands some hard ground and pound. Really dominant second round for him. Then in the third round, he gets clinched, but then he fires some 1-2s. And then he blocks the head kick, and he sidesteps, lands a left overhand, which rocks him, and then he clinches him. Bad IQ, even the announcer was saying it, like he rocked him multiple times, and he goes for that clinch immediately. So, I don't know, but, you know, still winning the round. Then he lands some jabs at range, but he eats some hooks, and then he gets clinched, and then he gets clinched to the fence. But, you know, kind of maintaining the fight and managing the positions there. But really good performance from him. Had him hurt multiple times, even though he's 44 years old. Looked really good. Francisco Trinaldo, plus 265. Randy Brown, minus 320. I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I want to go with Francisco because of the money, but realistically, I think Randy's just going to jab him, keep him off of him. I think Francisco might clip him, might hurt him, might even drop him. But I think Randy will get even better at managing the distance and being able to skirt along the fence and sidestep. But, you know, Francisco likes to get that clinch, and Randy kind of welcomes that clinch with Chaos. So, I don't know. It's kind of about momentum at this point. I think Randy's on the upward trajectory, and if Francisco beats him, like, what does it really matter? I think Randy has to win this one, narratively, if that makes sense. So, I'm going to go with Randy. If Francisco beats him, I won't be surprised. But I feel like it's Randy's time. Chaos Williams, tough guy. Took some shots and still won. A little bit of lapse of an IQ, but Francisco might hurt him and not go for the kill. And then Randy might be able to like lock up the clinch or the guillotine and circle out and then pop his jabs. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Randy Brown, you know. And if Francisco wins, I won't be surprised at all. But should be a fun fight. Really looking forward to it. The main event of the evening, 115 pounds women's strawweight. You got Mackenzie Dern taking on Yan Fury XIAONAN. Both ladies need this win to be in a title conversation. Who knows what's happening with the title? You got Zhang and Carla fighting in November. It's believed Marina Rodriguez is going to fight next. So they both want to win this to be in that conversation. And Mackenzie Dern took on Tecia Torres, her last fight, but I'm going to look at both of them against Marina Rodriguez. She took on Marina Rodriguez about a year ago. In the first round, she chases with some jabs, and overhand, she tries to get the clinch against the fence, shoots for the high crotch, defended by Marina, and then she goes for the arm throw, but Marina's really hip to it, can't get it. Then in the second round, she rushes with some right hooks to the clinch, and she's able to roll through with the leg, gets into side control, then she's able to get around her back, get a crucifix, pins her arm with both of her legs. Really weird stuff that only Mackenzie Dern can do, probably. But then she's able to roll through to the back, then she gets full mount, lands some ground and pound, nasty elbows, really dominates the second round. Beautiful second round. Then in the third round, she backs out of the overhands. She eats a head kick when she's going forward and 1-2 overhands off of her leg kick, a naked leg kick, unfortunately. But then she lunges in for the clinch. She's able to pull the leg up, but she can't finish it, and Marina lands a lot of punches for that. And then XIAONAN took on Marina Rodriguez, her last fight back in November. In the first round, she presses with some 1-2s, lands the overhand right whenever she gets pressed, but then she gets pressed with some hooks to the cage. Then the second round, she backs up, lands a leg kick and a right cross, and then she backs up, circles out of the hook range, and she's able to grab the clinch. Doesn't do anything with it though. But then she catches the knee, gets the takedown, locks around the back when Marina's standing. Doesn't do much with it, but still just having that little bit of grappling threat in there. Really good work from her. And then she rushes the clinch, and she gets reversed, and then she eats the right hook whenever she's circling out. Then in the third round, Marina kind of takes over, unfortunately. She misses the step-in hooks, and she gets countered with some straight shots by Marina. And then she eats a left hook at range, and she bites on the jab. After she bites on the jab feints, but then she lands a check left hook off of Marina's hook to end the fight. But and it wasn't too little, too late. But Marina had pretty much run out round at that point, and it was a split decision. I thought Yan narrowly won the first two, but Marina won the third more dominantly than she won the first two. So, just one of those things. Yan is plus 195, and Mackenzie Dern minus 230. I've been going back and forth, but it's higher level women's MMA, but that doesn't mean I want to lay minus 230 on Mackenzie Dern. And honestly, I think she's going to win, but for this price, I don't feel comfortable with it. I think Yan is going to be able to circle, stay at range, and Mackenzie's problem was you could hear her coaches, they were telling her you need to do 1-2, 1-2, then go for the clinch, and she's just kind of rushing him with like an overhand going to the clinch too fast. And if Mackenzie just rushes Yan, I think she can catch her with the hook. And Yan's takedown defense is not the greatest, but Mackenzie Dern's not shooting conventional takedowns like Carla Esparza was. And Mackenzie struggles to get people to the ground at times. So, but Mackenzie's probably going to get her down at some point. It's just a matter of can Yan survive that. Or maybe Yan keeps on the feet the whole time. I don't know, but I'm not willing to lay minus 230 to figure that out. So I'm going to go with Yan here. I think she can. I'm hoping she'll be able to keep her on the feet and just pop her with some jabs, keep her on the outside. But 5 rounds for Yan, that's another factor that we don't know. But, fuck it. It's women's MMA. I'm going to take a chance. The whole fight to go over 2.5, minus 135. That's a pretty safe bet. My pick here, XIAONAN. All right, everyone. Thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Finally got a little bit of momentum. Kind of a weird card. Not too exciting, to be honest. But, I did my research like always. And, took some underdogs. And I feel decent about it. But check the Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. Check the description down below. Share. Ask me questions. I'm always here. I love talking to people about MMA, so let me know. Give me some advice. I need it. But let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone. Get richer than you were yesterday.